Hi friends, welcome to my another class. Today we are going to discuss about micro chapter 2, class 11, consumer behavior and demand. One of the big chapter of microeconomics. Let us start with the first unit, consumer behavior. Micro chapter 2, unit 1, consumer behavior. Okay. Now, who are consumers? We people are the consumer. When you consume good, that means we are consumer. Consumer behavior means how a consumer behave during purchase of good. Okay, his behavior at the time of purchasing a good. It is not that whatever we get we purchase. We generally purchase how? We generally purchase in such way that that good which give us perfect satisfaction. Unless we are not satisfied, we never purchase a good. So before consume a good, a consumer's target is to maximize his satisfaction. Unless he is not satisfied, he never purchases it. So we are getting satisfaction. Satisfaction means the one satisfying power of a good. Okay, this is satisfaction. Okay, in other words, satisfaction is called utility. In economics, satisfaction is termed as utility. Utility means the power of a good which can satisfy a consumer. Okay, so utility means the psychological satisfaction which is obtained by the consumer from a good, from consuming good. This is utility. Now, utility is divided into two categories according to its measurement. One is cardinal utility. Another is ordinal utility. Okay. Cardinal utility means that utility which we can measure by giving numbers. Okay. Utility that can be measured by giving numbers is called cardinal utility. And ordinal utility means that utility which can be measured by giving ranks. Okay, means rank 1, rank 2 like that. This is ordinal utility. So cardinal utility we can measure by giving numbers. Ordinal we can measure by giving ranks. We are coming ordinal later. Let us start with the cardinal utility. So utility means the one satisfying power of a commodity is utility. Let us start with the cardinal part. Cardinal utility. It is also called cardinal approach. Cardinal utility, that utility which we can measure by giving numbers. This is cardinal utility. Okay. Suppose we are consuming a particular good, commodity A. Good A we are consuming. Okay. This is our utility, or we can say total utility. In short, we use TU. Lot of abbreviation also we get in this chapter. So, good A, by consuming 1 unit of good A, suppose a consumer get 10 unit of satisfaction. Okay. Suppose we can measure the utility in terms of number. This is total utility. Suppose by consuming 2 unit of a good, his utility will increase. Suppose it become 14 unit. By consuming third unit, his utility will further increase. Suppose it become 15 unit. Okay. If he further consume, his utility may not be increased. It may remain 15, same as it is. If he consume 5th unit, then his utility may reduce. Suppose it become 13. This is utility. Means by consuming good, how much utility satisfaction we are getting? This is utility. So we are getting here one term. This is total utility, TU. TU means the total satisfaction which is obtained from consuming all the commodity by a consumer is called total utility. How much total satisfaction we are getting from consumption of a good? This is our total utility. Now from that we can calculate marginal utility. Marginal means change, extra. If we increase our consumption by 1 unit, how much extra satisfaction we are getting? This is our marginal utility. Okay, first one blank. If we increase the consumption from 1 to 2 unit of good A, how much extra we are getting? We are getting 4 unit of extra. By consuming 1 unit, we are getting 10 unit of satisfaction. By consuming second unit, we are getting 14 unit of satisfaction. So extra how much we are getting? We are getting 4 unit of extra satisfaction. This extra satisfaction is called marginal utility. Means how much extra satisfaction we are getting through consuming 1 more unit of a commodity. Same as we can calculate here. If we increase to third unit, our satisfaction 14 to 15 means extra 1 unit. If we increase 3 to 4, we are not getting any extra satisfaction. Satisfaction is 0. If we increase 4 to 5, it become minus 2. Okay. So what we see, our total utility, marginal utility formula we can write like that. Change in the total utility. Total utility n minus total utility n minus 1. Means we have to subtract earlier one from the next one. In other words, total utility formula is delta total utility divided by delta quantity. Okay, this is another formula of marginal utility. So by subtracting the total utility, we will get marginal utility. So what we see here, when we increase our consumption 1 by 1, then our total utility first increases, thereafter decreases. It is general concept. In general, this is like that. Exceptions are also there, we are coming later. So our total utility first increases, thereafter it decreases. But marginal utility decreases continuously. And after a certain period of consumption, it becomes 0, thereafter it becomes negative. Marginal utility decreases continuously to 0, then it becomes negative. This is called law of diminishing marginal utility. We are coming it later. So what we see here, our total utility first increases, then decreases, marginal decreases continuously. So if we plot it on the graph paper, we will get this type of a graph. Here we are measuring utility, total utility, marginal utility. Here we are measuring quantity of good A. Okay, so this is the shape of our total utility curve. Total utility first increases, then after decrease. Marginal decreases continuously like that. This is the shape of our marginal utility curve. After a certain period, it becomes 0, thereafter it becomes negative. So at 0, quantity was 4 unit. This is 4 unit of good A. Negative 5 unit. In between the other 3 units. If we plot it in the graph paper, we will get this type of curve. So this is our TU and marginal utility. So what we see when we increase our consumption 1 by 1, then what happens? When we increase consumption, then our total utility first increases, then after marginal utility decreases continuously. Total utility first increases, but marginal decreases continuously. When our total utility is maximum, then what happens? Our marginal utility becomes 0. Total maximum, marginal 0. When our total utility decreases, from that point total utility decreases. From here total utility decreases, then marginal become what? Marginal become negative. Marginal utility becomes negative. This is the relation between total utility and marginal utility. So when our total utility starts falling, our marginal utility becomes negative. So relation between total utility and marginal utility. Total means sum total of consumption utility obtained from consumption of a good. Marginal means extra satisfaction or utility which you obtain from consumption of an additional unit of good. So from that formula we can get the formula of total utility also. Total utility is equal to, reverse of the formula is summation of marginal utility. Reverse of it. Mu is equal to change in the TU and TU is the sum of the marginal utility. So this is our total utility and marginal utility. Now what we see, our marginal utility decreases continuously with the increase in the level of consumption. This decreasing tendency of mu is called law of diminishing marginal utility. In short, DMU, law of diminishing marginal utility. What is the law? The law is when we increase our consumption one by one, then our marginal utility decreases continuously, and after a certain level of consumption it becomes zero, thereafter it becomes negative. This is the law of DMU, and it is applicable in almost all types of consumption. There are exceptions also, lot of exceptions also. Main exception is habit, hobbies. These all are the exceptions of the law of DMU. Habits means those people are habituated in a particular good. Suppose smokers, those who are the smokers, then in that case the law of DMU does not hold, because they are never dissatisfied in case of increasing their smoking. When they increase their consumption of smoking, their marginal utility may not be reduced. It may be remain same or it may be increased. So in this case, this will not applicable. The law is not applicable. Hobbies means suppose gardening, collection of stamps, like that. In that case also, when they increase their collection of stamp, they never be dissatisfied. Their satisfaction level may increase. Means MU will increase. So in some cases, the law does not hold. So these are the exceptions of the law. Now in every law, there are some assumptions. Based on the assumption, the law is conducted. Assumption also important here. Question is asked, what is the law of DMU? Write its assumptions. First assumption is the consumer is rational. Rational means normal people who can differentiate the difference between good and bad. Is rational people, not irrational people. Irrational means children is irrational people, irrational. Mad is irrational. So we are dealing with the common people who can recognize their good or bad side. Second one, consumption must be continuous. Continuous consumption. Continuous consumption in the sense, consumer will consume good A one by one. First you will take the first good, then second good, then third good, like that. Not giving lot of time gap in between. All the unit of good A are standard unit. Standard unit and same quality. Okay. Whatever good he is consuming, all the goods must be standard unit. Standard unit means standard size of the good and same quality. Quality should not be changed. That time utility also may be different. So standard unit of good, same quality. First one is rational consumer, continuous consumption, standard unit of good. Fourth one is utility can be measured numerically, that is cardinally. Utility we can measure numerically like that by giving numbers. Fifth one is consumer's income and price of the good must be fixed. It should not be changed. Okay, whatever he is earning, his income must be saved during consumption. The price of the good also remains same. If these two things change, then the law does not hold. So these are our assumptions. Based on the assumptions, the law of DMU holds. Now we see in the earlier example, good A. Good A, total utility and marginal utility. Consumer is consuming good A by 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, 4 unit, 5 unit, like that. At his satisfaction level, first increases then decreases, but marginal utility decreases continuously. First one suppose 5, 3, 0, minus 2, like that. This is the marginal utility status. And total utility increases continuously. Suppose first one is 10, then 10 plus 5, 15, 15 plus 3, 18, plus 0, 18, minus 2, 16. Total utility. First increases, then decreases. Now, where the consumer will stop his consumption? It is not that unless he become negative marginal utility, he will not stop his consumption. It is not that. Consumer will stop in a certain place. Now we have to decide where the consumer will stop his consumption. Means where is his final satisfaction level, means maximum satisfaction level. That maximum satisfaction level is called consumer's equilibrium. Consumer's equilibrium. Consumer's equilibrium means that level of consumption of a good which can provide maximum satisfaction to the consumer. This is consumer's equilibrium. Okay, means where the consumer will stop his consumption, means maximum level of satisfaction is consumer's equilibrium. Now how it can be achieved? It can be achieved by using the law of DMU. We can determine the consumer's equilibrium through using the law of diminishing marginal utility. It indicates what? When we increase our consumption of a good continuously, our marginal utility level decreases continuously. This is the law of DMU. Based on that, we can determine consumer's equilibrium through cardinal utility approach. Okay. Here we are measuring utility, and here we are measuring quantity of good, whatever we are consuming. This is our price line. It is parallel to x-axis because we are assuming price is fixed. Okay, consumer cannot change the price, we are assuming here. This is our marginal utility line. It is always downward sloping. In some cases, it may be negative also. We are not showing the negative part, only showing the positive part. So this is our marginal utility line. This is our price line. Now at that point, at point E, both the line intersect each other. Means what? At point P, the value of marginal utility and price both are equal. Marginal utility of good X and price of good X both are equal. So this E is called equilibrium point of the consumer. At that point, consumer reach at equilibrium. Okay. So according to cardinal approach, consumer's equilibrium condition is marginal utility of the good is equal to price of the good. Consumer will reach at that point equilibrium where his marginal utility and price both are equal. At that point, both are equal. So this is the consumer's equilibrium point, and he will consume this much quantity of good A and he will reach in equilibrium. Okay, we can explain it in the numerical also. This is price. Suppose price is fixed, we assumed. Suppose price is ₹3 per unit. Everywhere price is 3. Now where it is equal, at 3 unit, price and marginal utility both are equal. At 3 unit, price also 3, marginal utility also 3. Means what? 3 is the equilibrium level of the consumer. Means he will consume 3 unit of good and come back home. Because at 3 unit, his price and marginal utility both are equal. Both are 3. So 3 is the equilibrium level of consumption. Now if he consume more or if he consume less, then how he will reach back again in equilibrium? Suppose consumer is consuming more unit of X. Earlier he consumed 3 unit, suppose he is purchasing more unit. Then what happened? Now there is no equilibrium. Now what happened? Now marginal utility become less than price. Utility level reduced. Earlier marginal utility and price both are equal. Now price is more, marginal utility is less. Means what? He is not in equilibrium position. Now if MUX less than PX, means what? Consumer's marginal utility reduced. Now he has to increase the marginal utility because he cannot change the price. Price is fixed in the market. Only what we can do? We can only change our consumption level and we can change our marginal utility level. So here what he has to do? He has to increase the marginal utility. How? How we can increase the marginal utility? According to law of DMU, when you increase consumption, MU reduces. So reverse thing, if we reduce our consumption, then what happen? Our marginal utility will rise. See here, if we reduce our consumption 5 to 4, marginal utility rises. 3 to 2, marginal utility rises from 3 to 5. So when we reduce consumption, marginal utility rises. So what you will do? You will step by step reduce the consumption of good X. Then again you will come back at equilibrium. Okay. See here, if we reduce the consumption by this much unit, marginal utility rises. If we reduce further, marginal utility rises. Like that way, he will come back at equilibrium through reducing the consumption step by step. Just reverse thing. Suppose he consumes less unit compared to the equilibrium level. Equilibrium level was 3 unit. Suppose he consumes 1 or 2 unit. That time what happens? Marginal utility increases compared to price. Price is this much, MUX is this much. Means marginal utility become more than price. Here also disequilibrium, marginal utility rises compared to price. So he has to again compromise with the marginal utility. How? If you want to reach the consumer to reach the equilibrium level, he has to reduce the marginal utility. How to reduce? If we increase the consumption, our marginal utility reduces according to the law of DMO. So what he will do? He will increase the consumption step by step. If we increase this much, see marginal utility decreases. If we further increase the consumption, marginal utility again decreases. Like that way, he will again reach back equilibrium step by step. So by this way, he reach back at equilibrium. If he increase the consumption, then also his marginal utility affected. If he reduce, then also affected. And only at E, his marginal utility and price both are equal, means he will reach in equilibrium at E, where his marginal utility and price both are equal. Like that way, consumer reach in equilibrium through cardinal utility approach.